Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It is Starrapter and Ben here for episode 209 of Outer Rim Transmission. We had to do sort of an emergency episode. We actually planned on taking a break this week, but as I mentioned last week, unless there's like some crazy thing like a new trailer for a new Star Wars movie comes out, we're gonna have to do an emergency broadcast. And well, that's exactly what happened. Our talk last week paid off. We were talking at the end of the episode about how we view Star Wars movie trailers, and well, we got one to talk about this week with the Mandalorian and Grogu. So heck yeah, unfortunately because of such short notice, Milton won't be joining us this week. Hopefully next week he'll be back when we talk about another Star Wars trailer. That's right, I don't know why Lucasfilm decided to drop two Star Wars trailers in a single week. We're not going to try to do two in 1 week. We got plenty of time next week. We'll do it then, unless, you know, another trailer for like Maul Shadow Lord drops or some crazy thing like that. But anyway, how's it going, Ben?
Good. Just had a good weekend. It's actually really hot over here, so we had to turn the air back on. Actually, it's almost 90 today and 90 the next couple days here, so it's just terrible. So yeah, just staying cool and hoping for it to get back to fall weather and just enjoying football season. And just it's just that time of year again. We're just getting into like those normal fall things and whatnot. And like you mentioned, we thought it was going to kind of be a slower time for Star Wars. That's why we were taking this week off, and then we turned out to like literally the very next day. Not even, I mean, approximately 12 hours after we finished recording our last podcast, a new trailer drops. So it's definitely Star Wars is definitely very unexpected when they drop things, because it's honestly, there's no strategy to it, and it's pretty random. So I wouldn't be surprised this week if, who knows, we get something else, knowing how they are.
Oh yeah, it really is kind of, as a podcaster, as a content creator, they're always keeping us on our toes, that's for sure. They're always keeping us on our toes. So just when we think it's slow, with like, oh yeah, there's literally no new releases after Lego Star Wars came out, that's already well behind in the rearview mirror as we go forward. We loved it. I mean, I loved it, so we had a great time talking about it last week, but the gaze of Sauron is already focusing on the next thing. But yeah, I mean, I'll just jump right into it with my week in Star Wars, or as a guy I really enjoy watching on YouTube, a channel called Happy Console Gamer. He does the new game stuff episodes where he talks about anything related to video games and whatnot. And I guess in this case, it sort of is video game related, but in a much different way. So I've gotten back into doing more miniatures, and I now have finished the Republic Commando Squad Delta Squad. So here we go.
Nice.
We had, I can't really see if the camera's gonna really pick it up that good, but we got boss right there. We have Scorch right here.
Always my favorite.
Oh yeah, why is that? I haven't played the game since I was like 15 or something like that.
Yeah, I always thought his character, I don't know, I just liked his character because he was kind of more like outspoken and just like, I don't know, he just seemed more of like your clone trooper with like actual emotion, kind of like the Clone Wars clone troopers. Like the other members of the squad felt more, like the more robotic style clone troopers, where they were just like on the straight and narrow, and like, he felt more, just kind of like doing his thing.
Yeah, so I really had a great time painting these. I also have like regular Republic Commandos. I have two squads of them, so really happy with how all these guys turned out. We're going to be looking forward to playing these guys in a future game. They have a new narrative campaign system in the game that they introduced with Star Wars Legion in like the last 2 weeks. So I'm really rearing to go, getting back into playing some tabletop games again, because I've just been really working on either painting these or doing catching up on some video games. That's what I've been up to. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's great that you've been working on those. It's definitely a good time of year to like get into that stuff, since summer's winding down, and you're just finding more downtime really during the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, my weekend Star Wars, I didn't have any items or anything I picked up or like anything like that, but it's more of just like more I mean, technically, it's not Star Wars, but I guess it's Star Wars parody news. We've talked about it before on this podcast. So, for our fans who've seen Spaceballs before, they actually released their first, like, little pre-production photo, and it was on Friday afternoon. And the funny thing about it is like it feels like it's like 2013 or 2014 all over again when Star Wars when Disney first dropped that initial table read of The Force Awakens with the cast members, that black and white photo. Well, Spaceballs, they had the entire cast literally lined up exactly similarly to the Force Awakens cast when they were doing the table read, and then all they put as the caption was Spaceballs the table read. And like even in the spot in the photo, like they strategically set up the photo to kind of like poke at that table read photo from Star Wars because like for example where R2D2's sitting, that actually they put a fire hydrant in that spot. And then even they have other little nods to people who've seen Spaceballs before. Like for example, in one of the chairs, there's like a pizza box. So I'm assuming Pizza the Hutt's returning. So it's like you have like little things like this, and it just it's nice that we're getting a parody, a straight comedy coming back because comedies aren't around as much, and especially in like the vein this movie is. So it's gonna be nice, and that was kind of my week in Star Wars was just like getting to see that franchise. They're getting going. It's great seeing Rick Moranis front and center with the dark helmet sitting there on the table. Like that was great seeing that. So yeah, that was kind of my week in Star Wars, was more Star Wars parody.
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was in 2013
Yep.
when that photo came out because that was one of the first big things, and it was just like I got up that day, and I was like, whoa, today's gonna be a great day because we got this huge new Star Wars news to just look at these new actors. I haven't heard of so many of these new actors. Who's Daisy Ridley?
Yep.
Who's Oscar Isaac? Who's the guy that played General Hux? Who's all these characters? Who's John
Yep.
Boyega? Donald Gleason, everybody. So that was really fun, just parsing in my head, like, ooh, like this is so exciting. There's evidence this is happening.
Yep. Oh yeah. So it's great seeing them like already lean into that, and it's nice too that they're it's showing they're going to lean into some of the comedic, because they leaned into so much of it poking at the original trilogy. And they're already in their first official photo, it's poking at this iteration of Star Wars now. So I think it'll be a nice change of pace for Star Wars fans, sci-fi fans, comedy fans in general, getting to see this movie when it comes out in a couple years. But yeah, so that was kind of my week in Star Wars, was just getting to see that photo pop up, and just get some nice entertainment out of it.
There we go. There we go. So getting into it without wasting too much more time, not wasting, we're having a good time bantering back and forth here as always. We're gonna get into what came out this week very quick. Dr. Afra, Chaos Agent number 4. Wanted the review. Go ahead and check out their video on this channel, or check out my discussion with Matthew Neugebauer, and even Joel Davis joined us over on the Star Wars Underworld. You can find that video over on that channel there. But yeah, we got one story, one mega story. One story is purely enough because for the first time in 6 or 7 years, we have not just a Star Wars trailer, but a Star Wars cinematic movie trailer. This is for the Mandalorian and Grogu. We also get the poster. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I mean, this came to us like randomly on 9 o'clock, I think, on a Monday morning,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So I'll throw it over to
I
you.
wonder,
Oh yeah, go ahead. Take it over. I
you
was
know,
just gonna throw it over to you. So
oh, okay, okay. Well, I was gonna ask, genuinely, like I said, I wasn't expecting this trailer to drop at all. I mean, I guess no one was. But did they did they show this on GMA at like 8:45? Because sometimes they do that before they drop trailers, and I wasn't tuned into Good Morning America. I mean, I don't watch the news really in terms of that sort of stuff.
yeah,
So it's just like I wonder if they showed that on GMA right before they dropped it, because they usually do that a lot of times for their the Disney movie trailers.
I don't know, because usually I think they would promote it ahead of time. Be like, tune into GMA
Oh
at this
yeah.
time on this day. Usually, it's usually how
Oh
it
yeah,
goes.
that's true.
So I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I
I
guess
think
it
it
was
was
just a
just
surprise drop.
yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah.
Disney
Um.
Disney has also been a little bit in the crosshairs lately with different things happening. Won't really speak on that. So part of me wondered, oh, is this a way for them to like maybe distract people? Like, hey, we've had this trailer ready. We're planning to put out later, but let's just get people to think about happy things about Disney. Get
Yep.
distracted. I don't know how much credence you can lend it in that, but I mean, hey, sometimes it's just worth speculating about if it is. But
The funny thing is, not to turn this into a podcast about that situation. I know we had briefly talked about it, but I got an unprompted text from a relative saying, "I wonder if this trailer dropped because of the what's going on right now." And I'm like, "Oh man!" Even someone just random texted me that.
yeah,
Um, but anyways, to get to the trailer, yeah, I was very surprised about it. For starters, just because I wasn't expecting a trailer. Because we've all had that grainy cell phone leaked trailer from Celebration. That's been around on TikTok and everything. But for this to be an actual trailer they released, it was nice that they actually released something versus just letting us sit. Because to be honest with everybody, like I genuinely was thinking at the earliest we wouldn't see anything from this movie until the Super Bowl at minimum, and that's middle of February this year. So I was very shocked. We're like 7 months in advance of that, so that was shocking. And also to me, that kind of like waves the flag of like, hey, we're pretty much starting the marketing now, like last Monday for this. So it wouldn't surprise me over the next couple months if we get another trailer and another trailer and another, and more information like that. So that was all really shocking to me. But yeah,
yeah.
I think the trailer was a good initial teaser trailer because it's a minute, and I think it's a little over a minute long, minute and four, minute and five. And I just think for a teaser trailer that just pretty much introduces us to the cast, essentially is what it is, just a bunch of shots of all the main characters in the movie. I think it did its job in that regard. Because also I'm looking at it from a lens of, you have to look at it like kind of blind as if you haven't seen the Celebration trailer, because not you know, general public hasn't seen that. And most people aren't going and looking up leaked trailers, for example. So I think this is a good initial teaser trailer. Not great, not terrible. I think it's a good, just fine teaser trailer. But with that being said, I do have to say, to end this like long breakdown, I guess, um, it still is a Disney trailer at the end of the day, and they just, to be flat out honest with you, across the board, Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones, whatever. I honestly, the last time I've seen an impressive impressive any trailer from Disney was for probably The Last Jedi.
Hmm. I beg to disagree. I know it's not in our fandom here, but they literally put out another trailer this week of another big thing hitting in December, and that's Avatar. I think Ash and
Oh,
Fire.
actually,
That
actually, that
trailer
does
was
look really
that
good.
trailer was
Yeah.
excellent. I
Well,
know a lot
that's
of other
James
people are
Cameron.
very happy. A lot of other people are very happy about that
Yeah.
trailer as well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to me, I've been very disappointed about this trailer. It's almost as if like the force heard me or something, because the day before we're talking, me, you, and Milton, about what makes a trailer good. And we're talking about, oh, these big marquee moments in a trailer that we will never forget, how we experienced those trailers, how they felt when we seen a crossguard lightsaber ignite, how we felt when we had Luke saying it's now time for the Jedi end, how we felt when there was a cackle of the Emperor. Like all these different huge moments. These are all Star Wars movie trailers. And this trailer did nothing to me
I
personally.
just
It moved
my
me
only
nothing at all. Like,
my only pushback on all that is though, you're comparing a teaser trailer to a full-blown 2.5 minute, 3 minute trailer for all those situations you described are the full
No,
movie
no, no,
trailers.
no, no. What we've seen Kylo the cross
Oh, it
guard
was
saber.
Kylo.
Yep, that was
Oh,
a
okay,
teaser
okay.
trailer,
Mhm. Oh,
but even without going, like I'll
yeah.
still find all the other ones way more impressive. The reason why is because we've seen, if this was the first time we've seen the Mandalorian and we didn't see the series, then yes, that would be kind of cool. Fact is, we've seen all this stuff already. We've seen this already, where it's like, oh, here's another cute shot of Grogu using a force. It's like, why are they showing that to us? Like it's like gonna blow our minds because as the fans, and this is, you know, this movie is meant for the people that watch the series already. You know, it's like we've seen all this stuff, guys. Like you gotta wow us more than just these little fun shots. Like, and the first thing that I seen really put me on edge already when we seen a Razor Crest. I'm like, really? Like you go through all the trouble destroying it in season two, and then you're bringing back the Razor Crest, and that's a microcosm of how I feel about the series. How a lot of people feel about the series. How you take Grogu away in season two, you're bringing back a Book of Boba Fett. There's no separation, and season three just feels like it's going nowhere almost. I mean, yeah, we go to Mandalore and stuff like that, but it just wasn't as impressive as season one and two. So I'm getting that with this trailer, and I'm just seeing a bunch of the things that are fun with the Mandalorian, but the moments of the Mandalorian that we always find to be those episodes that kind of don't have much of a place in the episode in the series, like a spider episode or a spider or an episode in season three where we're dealing with this like dragon thing that's like taking a kid away. Like these like episodes that don't really factor very large into the overall story, and that's the snapshots of all these little sequences of it's cool. Yeah, we're seeing, you know, more creatures. We're seeing a lot of that, but and I get it. It's technically the teaser, and I have a gripe about that because Disney calls it a trailer. They don't call it a teaser. They call it the official trailer, and that
It's
kind of
not that.
like it's they gotta word this better because I understand this is their teaser, and I think what the strategy is here is in this is literally 8 months when they put this out. This was I looked exactly 8 months from May 22nd. It was on September 22nd when we got this trailer,
Yep.
and it's just like okay, we're gonna end up having to deal with well, the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl will be when we get the full 2.5 minute trailer because this trailer is really short. If its point was to show us the tone and the theme of this movie, I'm gonna be very unimpressed because it seems like we're just getting an extended bunch of sequences of just action moments in this whole thing. Like, where's the depth? Where's the layers? I want to see more dialogue. I want to see where's the story going. What makes this something that is has to happen after season three? Because really, you could have put this adventure anywhere else during season one, during season two. He's just running around destroying more stormtroopers, dealing with more underworld people. Like it's the same stuff we've already seen, and I know this is meant to get the mainstream audience, hopefully in their case, but for the hardcore fans, we're looking at this scratching our heads and we're going, okay, we want more than this. At least I speak
Yeah.
for everybody, I think, when I say that.
Oh, oh yeah. I understand that completely. I just think, yeah, it's meant for the mainstream because, us as Star Wars fans, we're talking Star Wars on the internet. We're in a minority of the fandom. Even big Star Wars people, like Star Wars YouTube, like Star Wars Theory, for example. He has millions of subscribers, but he's still, an ant compared to the massive Star Wars audience that's out there that's not on the internet. Um, and I just think a trailer like or a teaser like this is meant for the people that aren't on the internet. It's just the people like, oh, a Star Wars movie coming out next year, just to start laying the breadcrumbs of that, and then you have the general people that see the trailer that are like, oh, Grogu's coming to theaters or Baby Yoda, because they won't even be calling him Grogu because they don't know that's his name, I'm sure. But they'll be like, oh, Baby Yoda's coming to theaters, etc. So I think that's what this whole intent was to just start laying the breadcrumbs for it. Because if you go and just wait and drop a full trailer like in February or March, 3 months out, then that doesn't give you enough time to layer the marketing because, now we have this coming out at the end of September. And then I'm sure I'd be willing to bet you anything there's going to be some sort of different trailer attached to Avatar in the holiday season, and we'll be getting, you know, Star Wars marketing through the holidays, and then they're building like that whole family vibe of Star Wars again, Star Wars coming back to theaters, etc. Like that's their whole plan, in my opinion, as to what they're doing here. And I just don't think there's a point to have a full blown story trailer 8 months out. I really don't for any movie for that matter, because what's the point of learning a story 8 months out? Because then, like for example, let's flip it around then, Chris. Like if you drop a story trailer right now, and then what do you have to work off of in February, or what do you have to work off of in March and April leading up to? You don't have any sort of story trailer to reveal. So I think that's the big thing. It's just them mislabeling this as a trailer more than anything.
Okay, yeah. And it's just the idea that I'm impatient. I I
Yeah.
admit I'm just like, because
Well, we've all seen the other trailer though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's like, wait, is this exactly almost the same? Like thematically, the way this trailer feels, it's almost like the other trailer in a way. So it's like, ah, man, I kind of seen this already like 3 or 4 months ago, or 6 months ago actually, because it's crazy how a celebration happened that long ago. But
Yep.
it's like, oh man, like now we're gonna have to wait another 3 or 4 months to actually see a real trailer, because I don't consider this a real trailer because there's no
No.
story in here. For somebody like me that already knows the tone of the Mandalorian, yeah, I knew what to expect from this. I should have, I guess I had not that I could have had expectations, because this thing came out of nowhere. It's not like, oh, they were pumping this up. Maybe for the next time they will give us like a day ahead, but they'll probably say like, tune in to this thing for the full trailer, tune into this show or this game for the full trailer, blah blah blah. And at that point I'll be like, okay, they're hyping this thing up. If it doesn't deliver, then I'm gonna see it, but I'm gonna be very, very low on my expectations. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh
I
yeah. I
just,
think
yeah.
I think those are some of the factors. It's just like how they do it. And again, it just comes back to like their whole marketing strategy at Disney is just so weird how they do
Mm,
everything. It's so random. I mean, look, this is 8 months out to the day.
yeah.
And then for other shows, what was it? Was it Kenobi or Acolyte or something? They released the trailer like 6 weeks before it dropped, and it's like, what is going on here?
Well,
Like,
that's a TV series though. We
but but,
realize now.
but yeah, that's TV. But you know what I mean? It's just like it's just so all over the place with the way they do their advertising for their media. And I think another thing too with it is just like them going and advertising, because a lot of it, like, you talked about like what's going, a lot of it's what we've seen. But if they go back to what was working in the first couple seasons, and if it works out well on the big screen, that's what people liked about the first couple seasons. And I think you sprinkle in some of the connective storylines. I mean, we know for a fact already that the some of the Shadow Council members have been casted from the third season for this
Oh,
movie. So, those people are in this. So it's like I'm assuming they're not going to be a huge part of this movie, but even at that, like I think there's your like connective bites that lead, that'll connect to other things, cuz this isn't, I see a lot of people are like talking and like saying how, oh, this is just going to be like, a few episodes of Mando spliced together or whatever for the
yeah.
big screen. But the thing is, it's like this is what's leading into Ahsoka and what's leading into the Filoni movie and stuff. So like, I don't think, I don't know. I would be I'm very skeptical that Dave and John would plan something so haphazardly and just like, oh hey, let's throw 3 or 4 episodes of Mando together in the big screen with no connective tissue and make it be unimportant to anything else. Like I have no, I just don't believe that because I
Mm.
mean Dave Filoni, for example, Dave's never had stuff where he's not had a reason for it. So I just don't. I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be that, and I think they will connect it. I think you'll have your, whatever adventure story that they do in this movie, and we'll break down the trailer, and stuff. But I just think, yeah, I think there's going to be more to it eventually. It's just people have to realize this is more of a stepping stone movie than the movie we're looking for in terms
Uh,
of the big Avengers Endgame. Like I've seen other, the bigger, much bigger YouTubers talk about this, how their expectations were. They thought this movie was going to be like the Star Wars Mando Endgame, but that's the Filoni movie. This is more of
mm,
like, your lead up to Endgame movies and stuff with Ahsoka and with the Dave movie. So I think that's the big factor people have to realize. This is more the stepping stone, and this isn't the Endgame movie.
yeah, as far as my
I
last
think.
big thoughts on this is, it looks. Speaking of which, just brings up my thought here of it seems very season one to me. In the way they, I mean, obviously they're very selective on what they're showing, but from what they've showed, it doesn't show large scale, except for the AT-ATs at the end. It seems
The budget was
very.
144, by the way.
That's it.
It was 144. I seen that over the weekend. So it's on the lower scale. I think it was 144 or 154.
Yeah, it just
That's what was
worries
out
me a
there.
little bit because we've spent a season of Mando, relatively smaller scale, isolated kind of story, and we've been building. Season 2 got bigger. Season 3, we're dealing with a planet, fate of a planet. We're dealing with Mandalore. We're dealing with all these squads of Mandalorians flying around, and then you're meaning to tell me that we're gonna have to go back to this small little scale story where it's just these two characters. It just feels so derivative already from its own self that I'm just like, I like I want to get excited. And again, going back to the point of a trailer is to get you excited about this movie. And I know I'm one of the very few out there, but I actually feel like less hyped about the movie because I'm like, oh, if this is what we're in for, the movie I have to wait for is not until 2027 because Starfighter for me already feels like this is all the budget. This is everything with the cast and all being announced and their prolific triple A-list actors. And you got Sean Levy on the helm and seeing these shots. Like I was more excited, honestly, about that shot of Sean Levy and Grayson from last week where they were on the Mediterranean. I'm going, oh, this looks new for Star Wars. They're on the Mediterranean. And again, that's why I keep going back like with this movie Mandalorian Grogu, it would have been nice to see at least a different location where it would have been like either something A that we've seen before where it's tantalizing, or B like it's like a Felucia type planet where it's like, oh my gosh, this is like really mind blowing how this environment looks. Like it looks so cool. We haven't seen this in Star Wars before. So it just seems like okay, we've trodden this path before. I know I'm kind of talking around the same point again here, but it's just that's my feelings on it. It's just okay, this feels like we've been here, done this already, just on the TV. Hmm.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. And it's just it, see, I do think a lot of this stuff has to do with them realizing they botched the third season because of all the stuff that went on, how they had to fold, Rangers of the New Republic and just, I feel like the third season would have been very different, if Rangers would have actually, made its way to the screen. So, because I mean half that season, it felt like it's like what are these storylines? So I think a lot of it is them just trying to kind of reset the baseline. Like to me, this is my prediction for the movie. I think you're going to have whatever a plot storyline, whatever the storyline is of the movie, the main storyline, whatever with Mando and Grogu. And then the B plot you'll have some sort of connection to the wider Mandoverse, but that will not be the main plot of the movie. I think the A plot will be the predominant, like 90% of the movie, whatever happens, and then, we'll get some sort of connective tissue toward the end of the movie or like sprinkled in here and there throughout, leading into more of the wider array of things because, we know Ahsoka's following it and Ahsoka is they're going. Part of it is going back to the main galaxy and having a battle. I mean, Dave
Hmm.
already said that. So like, I mean, where's Mando and Grogu? They're in the galaxy that the battle is taking place.
Yeah.
So I think that's where this is leading, and it's just I I think that's what they're trying to do is kind of course correct after they realize what happened with the third season.
Yeah, my big cynical. This is my last cynical point before we actually take a look at a closer look at the trailer. It's kind of like the situation where, the CEO Bob Iger and the executives at
Yep.
Disney are looking to Lucasfilm for profit. They're looking for them to help, justify the cost of what they spent to buy the property and all that. And I know they've probably made that money back already and all, but still, it's like you have Marvel over here that's producing 2 or 3 movies a year in Pixar and Fox Studios and all the ancillaries of Disney. But yet Lucasfilm hasn't produced something at this point before they announced this movie. It's probably been 4 or 5 years at this point. It's like, okay, you guys gotta give us something. You guys announce stuff, it ends up in development hell, whatever, what have you. I think at one point they were just like, look, you gotta do something now. What's the best shot of us giving a movie? And Kathy knows, okay, Mandalorian season 4 is going really well right now. We have scripts, blah blah blah. And Bob Iger's like, cool, just make that a movie. Just we need something in the theaters to hold off the fans and the shareholders, of course, like all this,
Yeah.
public company stuff. Give us a movie, and this is like their best, safest way and fastest way to make a movie is to give us this, which is the last thing that George Lucas would probably ever do is to like spin out a movie like this. So for me,
Yep.
it just feels like it's disingenuine a little bit because it just feels after watching this trail that this is exactly the thing I was hoping it wouldn't be. And granted, again, this is a trailer. I feel like I'm talking about like I'm reviewing the movie right now, but these are just my quick shot hot takes of the week right here.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that's a whole podcast too for another day.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, to me, this is one thing. People can be as big as fans of Kathleen Kennedy as they want, and this isn't going to turn into a Kathleen Kennedy bashing thing. It's just the facts. There's no reason a movie studio should be waiting. By the time this movie comes out, it'll be 7 years since they've released a movie. There's no reason a flagship studio should wait 7 years. I mean, have we ever had a 7 year break with Marvel? Never. Like, so I just don't. I mean, even DC, with all of DC's issues, they've put out at least junk. Star Wars, they became so gun shy after the sequel trilogies. They're like, let's just not put out movies and hope for the best. And like, so I just think that's like a major indictment on Kennedy. And I think part of it is too, like you said, I think this is the safest way. It's the what's the sports analogy? Since it's like the highest floor. So like it
Hmm.
may not have the highest ceiling where you're gonna make $800 million or something, but as a high floor, like a solid baseline. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure the budget's like in the 140s or 150s for this movie. It's relatively cheap. So, all you have to do is make at minimum like $280 million or so to break even,
Yeah.
290. So if they come out and if they make, God, I mean, if they make like $450 million on this movie, it'd be a really good success for them. So I just think, I think that's all they want to do is just see, hey, people are still enjoying Star Wars. It's still Mandalorian, it's still Grogu. They're gonna have Pedro and Baby Yoda on the marketing trail, I'm sure, in the spring. And I think, if they come out and come out ahead by like 150 million for this movie after all the expenses and stuff, I think that'll be a win for them. Kind of like the Superman situation with DC. Like it didn't make all the money, but it just got like better vibes back to the DC fandom. So like that's all they need is this movie just to be a good solid time and the audience to like it.
And that's the last thing I wanted to have happen with the
Because well,
first
here's on the
movie
other side.
coming back.
Well, here's on the other flip side of it, though, Chris. If you go and drop Starfighter in, for example, Starfighter is coming. Whether our speculation of Daisy Ridley being in the movie or not, Starfighter coming in 5 years after the sequel trilogy with all of its issues. Do you really want to open Star Wars coming back to theaters, marketing and saying, "Hey guys, we're essentially continuing the sequel era," after it was pretty much rejected by a lot of people when it came to Rise of Skywalker? We want to continue that. Like, I just think that would be a catastrophic failure if they would have done that, um just because of the attitude toward that era. And I think you have to open with something more safe. I mean, that's like with DC. I mean, could you really, instead of opening with Superman and doing it the way they did, could you open the DC era with something like, I mean, even on the flip side, Supergirl? I love Supergirl. A lot of people do. But James Gunn could have never in a million years opened DC with Supergirl and expected that movie to be as big of a hit as the Superman movie was, just because she's not as big and popular of a character as Superman. Like Din Djarin and Grogu especially Grogu. Grogu's right there with Darth Vader as the most iconic Star Wars character. So I think that's that's the only way you could do it, because if you would have introduced it with the sequel era to start, I think it would have been honestly a catastrophe.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, with Starfighter, I think there is probably more good graces with that movie already. Like, yeah, it's 5 years removed from Rise of Skywalker, and the way they're gonna promote it is they're probably not even gonna mention Rey. They're not gonna mention any of those characters. People care about filmmakers. They're gonna put all of the accolades of Sean Levy, from the director of Stranger Things, from the director of Deadpool and Wolverine, from the director of uh, what is it called, like Real Steel, and all these other big movies
Yep.
that he has made. Like all these movies, Free Guy, but all this stuff, and from the Emmy, what he won an Emmy, right? Like Ryan Gosling won Best Actor at some point, probably.
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, you have him, you have other people like Amy Adams
Yeah,
and
they're
other
they're
accomplished
gonna
people.
blast that stuff. No one's gonna really
Yep.
think about in the promotion. No one's gonna really think about the Rise of Skywalker as much because they already realize that, like, that's probably not the best foot to lead with. But here is a good director. Here's a good writer. Here's an amazing a cast we've never seen, like the A-list power of these cast members before.
My
Here you
only
go.
my only question to you though, Chris, in terms of marketing stuff, set our fandom aside for a moment. If you go up to, I don't know, your aunt, your random aunt who doesn't follow any of this pop culture stuff, and you say, "Hey, there's a Star Wars movie coming out directed by Sean Levy," and she probably looks at you and goes, "Okay, who's that?" And then, or on the other hand, you say, "Hey, aunt, there's a Star Wars movie coming out with Baby Yoda in it." There's your board. There's my thing. If I'm Bob Iger, there's your board. There's your thing that puts it in the Mando bucket first, because what's an easier marketing thing? Throw Baby Yoda out there and get those random aunts and uncles that haven't watched Star Wars in a while, get them back in the stands, and then get the ball rolling again, kind of like DC. And I think that's why I totally get where you're coming from. Like, for us, for the pop culture consumers, for all of us, leading with Starfighter would have been fine because of, us liking a lot of this pop culture stuff. I just think it's just they we gotta like set our expectations back of like, hey, Star Wars is basically hitting the reset button essentially with this. Like, even though Mando and Ahsoka is continuing this era, like Mando is kind of like The Force Awakens all over again, where The Force Awakens was very, very safe the way they did that movie. And this is no different. I think they're starting out this next era of Star Wars theater in a safe direction.
Yeah, and I mean, it might seem like it's safe but is it really? And this is why I'm being such a devil's advocate with this episode tonight, because as safe as it seems, it's been 6 or 7 years since the craze of Grogu, the craze of Baby Yoda. Can they capture that lightning in a bottle twice? Are people going to go ahead and cough out the 40 to 50 to $80 it could be to bring their entire family to the movies? Because we've been seeing a decline. Marvel, they can't make their money. DC, you just mentioned Superman can't crack a billion. Like
Yep.
these
Oh,
once
a
easy.
billion's not going to be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think a movie. This is just an aside for all movies. I think a quote unquote success nowadays is if as long as you have a low enough budget. If you're anywhere between 500 to 800, I think it's good.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
So based on that point, I don't know how surefire of a hit. The one thing it has that's a positive, as you mentioned, is the budget is so low that they don't have to have
um,
that high of a ceiling to really make out on this one. But you're dealing with, A, are people going to come back to see Grogu? B, are people really going to want to see this thing in a theater when they could just watch it at home in a month or two? Because that's just how things are nowadays. I know so many people that I've this summer there were so many movies, and a lot of people I talked to just, I'll wait for 2 months to see it on at home.
yep.
Like, and then the other factor, and it might not be that big of a factor, but it could be, is we're gonna have the biggest entertainment property money making thing of all time. Let me see. It's out 3 or 4 days after this, which is Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto is going to come out, and you're going to see it. Not okay. So maybe your grandfather or your 10-year
See,
old niece are not going to be
I
playing the
don't think any
game.
studio cares about a video game coming out.
But when all the news channels are talking about it, when every other YouTube algorithm is picking up people playing or talking or reviewing the game, it's going to have the zeitgeist. It's going to have the zeitgeist from any other entertainment thing for a while. And the thing is, if it was out a month after, it'd be fine. It's literally in the blast zone. People have a budget now. People are going to say, okay, I just spent maybe $100 for this game. There's rumors that people will be there. Rockstar might sell this thing for $100. Well, there's your budget for the week. Either you're going to be going to see, the Mandalorian and Grogu that weekend, or you're going to be playing Grand Theft Auto all weekend. That's going to be an easy choice for a lot of people that are our age, because they're going to say, oh, like that looks like season 4. I'd much rather play Grand Theft Auto right now because everyone on my friends list is playing this game, blah, blah, blah. People only have so much money. And like I said, going to the movies is really expensive. If this game costs $80, $100, forget it. They're losing out on all the people in their 30s, perhaps, that are into this thing. Maybe. But then it's also the people talking about it. It's going to kind of create this vacuum where you're not going to get as much commentary because Disney just won't move it like maybe a week, 2 weeks forward or 2 weeks back. This is the only time a video game will ever actually affect a movie. But I'm telling you, mark my words, this is a good chance it could happen.
I just don't. To me, I don't know. I just don't. Even if the movie was coming out on the exact same day, I just don't think a studio fears a video game because it's a crossover audience. Sure, obviously you could have, like you said, the people saying, "Oh, well, I'm buying a game this week or playing, or going to the movies." But for me personally, as well as I'm sure plenty of gamers do, if I'm getting Grand Theft Auto, which I mean I'm sure I will be, I'm going to pre-order it when the pre-order comes out. 3, 4, 5 months early, so I'll have already paid that
True.
$80, $90. So I just think. I don't know. I just think personally for me, I just don't think that's going to be as big as this factor as you estimate. I mean, it could be. I could be completely wrong here, but I just don't think it will because I think for all of us, like, I mean, I know with me with Madden, with when Star Wars Lego came out, when the pre-order was available for those games, I pre-ordered it within a couple of weeks
Yeah, that's a valid point.
just because I wanted to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay the $100 now than pay it like, oh my gosh, got to do it today, to get the game.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a factor to consider. But I do, I think, as you mentioned, though, with the release of it, I think here's another issue with Star Wars as a whole in terms for this movie. Starfighter comes out in May of 27, and I don't know when the Dave movie comes out. I don't know if that date's been announced.
Nope.
But anyways, okay, so Starfighter and that come out in May. I genuinely think Star Wars is making mistakes doing that because look, when they've had their most success, the in terms of this era, the Disney
Yeah.
era, been in the winter. Rogue One
Yep.
in the winter. The sequel trilogy in the winter. Say what you want about the sequels, they did make money. And then the only outlier was Solo, and that movie was a disaster. And I just think, I think when you put it in May, it's just a weird time of year because to me, Star Wars is more of a winter, like family
Mm.
holiday movie. And I just think when you put it out in May, it's just such a weird time for both of these movies coming out. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah, that could be another big factor. I mean, you have more people that are, you
summer
know,
break.
they're on summer break, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're traveling. I know a lot of people like to travel in that late spring kind of era, part of the year. So it is a hard thing to see. I mean, we only have data from Solo, but that was so botched with the various
Yeah.
things behind the scenes that that's not a fair thing to weigh it off of. So I guess they're gonna say, okay, let's take another shot.
Yep.
And this is my perfect world. This is my perfect world scenario. Is I would have loved to see this come out the same year as another Star Wars movie. Like have that big. I'm not saying Starfighter. Maybe they had something else in the wings that it didn't make it. It got canceled without us knowing or something like that. Could have been. But like have your big movie come out maybe before or after. You could have had like the Mandalorian Grogu come out in May as your appetizer, and then wait till
Yep.
December to have your big like this is we're back now with Star Wars. This is that Force Awakens like megaton bomb. Now that everybody's talking about it because it's all so new, all these new characters, this new ideology of the Force maybe or something like that. Um, that would be the ultimate thing. So now that we get this, it's just like okay, now this is our big thing coming back, but is it really? But
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for him. Just because it's just you know, I don't know. It's just interesting to. I'd be very interested just to see what their info they have on all of this stuff. Just because it's like, as the hardcore fans are like down on Mando season 3 and all these things, and then it's just like, Ahsoka was really highly viewed, so you have that, and then it's just like, I just don't know what to expect because I mean, look, nobody expected Superman to be as good of a hit as it was. Like it just, because DC has been in such a stinker of a place lately, and then that movie, fans, critics, everybody loved it. So it just to me, Star Wars has to produce just a good solid movie. Like that's all they have to do. If they come out and give us a B level movie in terms of like if you grade it, like if it's a solid 8.5, like 8.2 to 8.5, I think it'd be a success just because they they can't have another Solo situation. They can't have another Last Jedi situation where it's super divisive. They can't have another Rise of Skywalker situation where nobody liked it essentially. So I just think they have to play it as safe as they can, and it's just the way you do that, I guess, is just going out there, lean into the Grogu stuff, lean into the Pedro Pascal stuff because everybody loves Pedro Pascal right now. So you lean into him, and you hope that that can like lead the way. And you have some other good actors in this movie, so
yeah,
it's just going to be interesting to see how they play it out. And as we get into this trailer breakdown, I have an interesting thought on. I think I have an idea of how maybe he gets the Razor Crest back. I have a prediction on that.
yeah. The biggest tantalizing reveal they could have had. They could have had this in a teaser trailer because it's not like a super big reveal because they've done it before. Just have him valiantly taking off his helmet at the end of
Yeah.
the trailer, at the end of the teaser. That's not like really giving us too much away. We've got insinuations and context that could happen. Like, have Pedro Pascal's face in the teaser. That's if they would have gave me that at the end, right at the end, instead of like an awkward like 15-second thing on an AT-AT falling over. It's like that was your money shot. Money shot should have been Pedro taking off the helmet and standing proud with the helmet off in front of like Battle, or I mean, maybe it wouldn't have worked with Battle because that would have made no sense. But just like maybe just like in something with like a speech, he takes off the helmet or something like that. That would have been cool. I have one line where he turns to the camera, takes off the helmet. It's like, oh man, what happened to the Mandalorian Creed? Like, and then we could have all these questions on this show because we're gonna get into this breakdown. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The breakdown is probably gonna take 10 minutes or less because
Yep.
there's really nothing to break down. This is all. Oh, that looks cool. That looks
It's a cast.
interesting.
It's a cast showing essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Essentially.
So as we get into it, I want to read you guys the official synopsis. The evil empire has fallen and imperial warlords remain scattered throughout the galaxy as the fledgling New Republic works to protect everything like the rebellion fought for. They have enlisted the help of legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin, Pedro Pascal, and his young apprentice Grogu as himself. This clan of two is ready for the fight, and blah 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 blah. So this description basically doesn't give us anything. It almost sounds just like season 3 in a way. So without further ado, let's just jump right on in. This is a shot that boggled my mind. I'm going, why are we playing like member berries? Why do we have Razor Crest back? Like, why? I mean, I like the same exact ship too. It looks. What is happening here? Like, where's the Naboo starfighter? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I think that like, I guess, like you said, it's, they're leaning into that, but I do think the in-universe, your in-universe reason, I mean, is already there. Like, he likes that model because of, it's like not on the Imperial codes or whatever. Like, the in-universe reason's there. It's just, I think, see, this is where, I mean, I guess we're starting off with a semi-concern of like the time constraints of this being a movie, because my like kind of prediction for this after seeing this teaser plus the teaser from Celebration, I feel like maybe like Sigourney Weaver or like one of these other characters, I think there's a chance, and I know this is probably going to make you groan, Chris, when I say this, but I think there's a chance that like we might have like 15 to 20 minutes of this movie. Maybe it's going to be like Sigourney Weaver or one of these other characters being like, hey, Din Djarin and Grogu, I need you to do this thing, and then I can give you a Razor Crest model I have in the back room, essentially, or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's going to be something like that. Like, it's like an intro mission for the audience where it's like, hey, Din and Grogu back on a little adventure, and then they get their ship back, like that sort of thing. And I genuinely think that's how it's going to be, because how else would he get it?
Yeah, sounds like just something we would see in a season of Mandalorian. What's the adventure of the week? Oh, we're gonna go and try to get this. We're gonna fix our ship, right, or something like.
I think that's what I genuinely think that's what it's going to be.
This next shot here is just again one of the many Grogu front and center shots. Okay, he's doing a cute little thing with a telescope. Looks like something straight out of episode 5 of season 1 when they're on Tatooine trying to find out where Ming-Na Wen's character Fennec Shand is and all that stuff. But well, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's like, be ready. We're gonna have plenty of Grogu shots as we go along this whole marketing trail leading up to the movie, because that's what they're gonna lean into.
And another one here is, again, I don't know what the obsession with Anne Ellens is with Jon Favreau and everybody, because it seems like they're trying so hard to make these aliens like the next cute thing, and I just don't see it. Like I find them relatively annoying. Like they started coming in to the story with Babu Frick and The Rise of Skywalker, and since then we've gotten so many of these freaking things. So
yeah, this is, to me, okay, this is another thing too. I think it's just like a little aside with what they're doing. Like, obviously John and Dave have their stories to tell with Mando and Ahsoka and, Thrawn and whoever else they have to tell stories about. But I do think, a lot of this stuff, it's kind of like, they're trying to have these guys and gals basically quote unquote kind of fix the sequels and like build up to it better by building all this stuff out. And I think they're including Anzellans and they're including imagery from the sequels like that to basically, for all intents and purposes, kind of connect more to the sequels to make it feel more fluid than make it feel like those movies are just three standalone movies.
True. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, we're doing stuff with cloning and already. Might as well do this. Here we go. We have
Just
Sigourney
little
Weaver's.
sprinkles.
Yeah, we have Sigourney Weaver's character. This is supposed to be like, oh, the cute moment. It's like, again, seen this, done this. Oh, a little cute display of Grogu reaching for candy or something. It's like, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just those shots aren't for us. That's the problem too. I think with us being hardcore fans, like we're not fazed by it, but I wonder what the non-prompted Star Wars fans would think of some of these shots from this trailer.
Yeah, all right. A classic, Mandalorian walks into a bar and starts wrecking stuff straight out of season 1, episode 1. I mean, the cool thing about this is you actually see a prequel alien. And I didn't notice this until I started pulling clips for the show tonight. That's actually Saucy Tin's species in the background. That's an Iktachi.
Oh, I didn't. No, I honestly, let me
Yep.
see that.
If you look
No, I
close
did
enough,
not notice that. Yeah.
See?
Oh, that's
So I'm like,
really
okay.
cool.
Okay, your creature design is great because then we have also an Amani or whatever these things are. This is that there's this weird ass alien in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. I actually had an action figure of this thing that came with an action figure of Boba Fett from the 90s. And it's like that weird tall thing, but we never see it have any emotion. But oh my gosh, is this thing a nightmare. Like I'm pretty sure that's what this is, and these things are on Utapau because if you watched one of those unused reels from the Crystal arc that was released for the Clone Wars, it's like an animatic. There's a situation where Obi-Wan and Anakin are on Utapau and are dealing with these things, and they're just these very territorial clan-like creatures.
I watched that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, we got something going on here. That's cool. Classic shot of Mando with Grogu. Again, this ship is exactly the same. Part of me wonders, is like, hey, we had these sets already. This is a way to cut costs. Just do this again. That's exactly what it is, probably.
Yeah, so I was talking a little bit with one of my buddies, Star Wars Santa, about the Razor Crest, and we were talking about we were kind of like talking about it because me and him were messaging back and forth about obviously they're going to do some sort of reprint of the Razor Crest for this movie in terms of HasLabs or Hasbro or whatever, and it makes me wonder because he was looking at it. And like he's like, if you look at like the backside of it or whatever, he wonders if if they're going to do some sort of thing for the movie where it's like a modification where because the N1 Starfighter, like there's plenty of room like in between both sides of the Razor Crest where you could technically like dock or put a small craft like that under there. So he's like, his idea with it was maybe because even me, I was like, man, I love the N1 Starfighter. Like, I want that in this movie, And he's like, maybe his view on it was maybe like they use the Razor Crest. Holy moly, I cannot even say that word. Razor Crest. Like how like the Obi-Wan Jedi Starfighter ring is. Like, think of it as like, the N1 like kind of docks underneath it and like maybe attaches. His thoughts was maybe they do something like that for this movie because like there's a space under there because he said he has like the one of the toys of it and he was looking at it and it's like wide enough where you could potentially put like a craft under there. So he's like maybe they do something like that, like have a modification for it because there's no reason for him not to have the N1.
That's hilarious because I actually and I'm thinking right now I could literally put that to the test. I have a Razor Crest from the Micro Squadron Jazzware Galaxies, and I have an Naboo Starfighter. So after the stream, I will have to put that theory to a test and actually see, because those things are to scale usually pretty well. So.
Oh, hey, that'd be perfect.
Next shot here, we have Gareth Zeb Aurelios, Zeb himself, making his live-action debut. Well, actually, no, we've seen it in Season 3. But this is cool. We're getting to see. This is gonna be pretty scary because we've never actually seen this species, a Lasat, actually in combat in live action. They are large and very, very powerful, as we know from Star Wars Rebels. So, looking forward to seeing him just take names against some of these Imperial Remnant.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited for that. Because he's going to be kind of our, it's interesting seeing like the cast. Like I said, it's just kind of a cast trailer, and we're getting to see him in action. He's kind of our, I mean, he was the old Chewbacca design, so he's our Chewbacca for this movie essentially. Um, so I'm sure we're going to have some great interactions between him and Grogu in this. Um, and like you said, it's going to be cool seeing him in combat and just seeing how they really incorporate his character.
Oh yeah. Moving on to our next shot here, we have some more aliens. It's another of those shots. I mean, it's kind of neat to know that all these things are practical effects. And I'm sure
Yep.
they have some CGI elements added, but they are baseline. So it looks like something from an '80s movie, which is kind of cool, like maybe Labyrinth or Dark Crystal or something like that. Having all those puppets like that was just neat. This is
Oh yeah.
cool. I got excited by looking at this. If maybe not excited, but intrigued is the term. But they still, the New Republic is still using U-wings. So I love U-wings. I think that's one of the best designed ships of the last decade with Lucasfilm, because it fits right in with the B-wing. It fits right in with the Y-wing, the X-wing, and the A-wing as just like one of the lead rebel ships. And seeing, of course, Din with the jetpack activating. It's good to see that's going to be in use.
Yep. Oh yeah, that was really cool getting to see the U-wing, and um that is actually honestly kind of my prediction as well. I think that could be the next HasLabs leading up to the Mando movie. Um but yeah, I think it's great getting to see Din in action with, obviously, like you said, the jetpack. Um because like he doesn't use it a ton. I mean, he uses it in Mando, but I mean, I don't know. He doesn't use it as much as I would prefer him to use it, I guess I would say. Um so it is nice seeing him use it, for the big screen especially.
Oh yeah. All right, so this is a shot that many of us in the fandom have already seen months ago. But this is allegedly Rod of the Hutt, son of Jabba the Hutt, as we've seen in the Clone Wars animated movie. He's in some sort of gladiatorial ring. Um, we've seen Hutts in this capacity before. If you've read the comics, the mainline Star Wars flagship from 2015, you would know that there's a Hutt called Gracchus the Hutt, who has
Yep.
a gladiatorial ring on Nar Shaddaa. Whether or not we go to Nar Shaddaa, I would love it if this is Nar Shaddaa. I'm not going to make many big expectations there, as we've seen so many instances when we think it's a place we know and it's just something slightly different and new for that reason. But
Yeah, I mean, it's cool getting to see him. It's going to be intriguing just to see what the story is around all of this. Especially, this is my one thing. I mean, I guess we've had other instances like, I mean, I'm not sure in canon, but I know in Legends there's been instances where like Luke's been protected by other people and whatever, and like, it's like, why does Luke have to be protected? But like, this is a thing that's interesting to me. The alleged rumors and things that are out there about this movie. Like, why would a big gladiator like this need protected? You know what I mean? That is a genuine question that I have, because it's like, unless the villain of the movie is such like a deadly villain where he would, it's just like, I feel like someone like this could protect themselves potentially.
and speaking of protecting, this next shot here features. We'll probably see these guys in Star Wars Legion. Speaking of bringing it all the way back full circle, some miniatures, like these would make really good miniatures, because the scale of these guys is huge. But thanks to miniatures, I also know that emblem on that door is the Hutt Cartel emblem, thanks to Star Wars Legion and the different
Yep.
things that the logos for the different characters and whatnot. So yes, that's cool. So we don't know what palace this is on. as we look at the poster, we're going to see some familiar huts we might have seen already in another previous work of the Mandoverse there. So, yeah, could be visiting some familiar people from something else.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting. I know I've seen some folks as I've watched plenty of breakdowns of this trailer and whatnot, and I know I've seen some people speculating, thinking some of the imagery we've seen, and I'm not sure because I'm not sure the exact imagery that they've done with like comics and things, Chris. So I was going to ask you this in general as we get through this podcast. Like as you see some of the imagery, whether it be like this cartel emblem or any of the other upcoming screenshots, like do you think we're going to Ord Mantell in this movie?
Oh my gosh, I don't know, but this is going to be a perfect transition because do you know anything about this next creature I'm about to talk to you about?
Um, I do not.
Okay, so now this actually really.
Inform me and the listeners.
Okay, so the first thing that I thought of when I watched this was, oh, is this one of those creatures from the Dejarik board in the original A New Hope? And we know how much Jon Favreau loves to pull like deep cuts from like the various old school Star Wars. I mean, the first sequence he
Yep.
brings in the big rifle from the little cartoon from the holiday animated thing. I wouldn't put it past him to throw in like a live action rendition of what one of those creatures on the Dejarik board that, when Chewie's playing C-3POs in A New Hope. And you timely brought up something that connects this because in the Old Republic video game, if this is the creature I think it is, this is a Savrip. I think I'm saying it correctly. And they are indigenous to the planet of Ord Mantell.
Oh, well, there we go.
So I'm
That's
like, wow,
timing.
are you sure you don't know about this creature? Because that's exactly what Wikipedia would probably tell you.
Oh, no, I mean, like I said, I genuinely got that information from watching people's breakdowns and people speculating and saying, "Oh man, wondering, just from the imagery." And honestly, some of the breakdowns I heard, they didn't even mention like the creature originating from there. So that's funny that people were like speculating that based on some of the imagery. But yeah, yeah, I didn't know that. So that's cool. Now, you know, I could see them doing that just to, like you said, kind of connect. John Favreau likes those deep cuts like that. And then, I mean, heck, if you want to like deep cut connect it even further, I mean, Han literally says, I think it was Han or Lando, whoever says we ran into the bounty hunters on Ord Mantell. I mean, you know, that whole line. So, maybe we get the official live action debut of it.
Yeah, because Ord Mantell was the location headquarters of the Bad Batch with Sid, right?
Oh, it was actually. Yeah, I'm like 90%. That does sound correct because I think it was Ord Mantell. It wasn't Paulus Massa. No, I think it was Ord Mantell. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Our next shot here evokes concept art from The Empire Strikes Back, Ralph McQuarrie's concept art of that kind. And it also could have made it into the movie. I think it was an Empire. From this angle, look at an AT-AT straight out of the Battle of Hoth. Looks really, really cool. This is where the budget shows for me. Up until now, I was like, okay, this literally just looks like the same quality that we see from the show, which is great. Like, that quality has always looked great. But
Yep.
I was always wondering, like, all right, what makes this elevated above television as a format? Why does this need to be in a theater? Why can't, other than speculated reasons I was talking about with Disney and wanting a Star Wars movie just for the sake of a Star Wars movie because it's been too long, why would the Mandalorian make the jump? And this is probably the first like reason where I'm like, okay, this kind of explosion, this kind of scale with these walkers walking along this chasm, this would get me to believe, okay, now I get to see where this is coming from, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this looks like definitely more of like a higher budget shot than normal. Than you would get on one of the shows. So yeah, I think that's where you'll get the movie feel to this movie is like, these sorts of sequences, like whether it be with walkers or ships or some of the more wide open sequences, versus like, and then of course we'll get more of the personal up close feel like we do with Mando because, I'm sure all the up close sequences were shot in the Valley. You might be willing to bet.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of that stuff. But it's just really how they balance it, really, with the cinematics.
Hmm. Yeah, and take a look at I'm very curious why they use the McQuarrie design AT-ATs, because if you look at the history of the timeline of Star Wars, we've seen this exact design in Star Wars Rebels, which takes place at that point in time. It was like 2 or 3 years before A New Hope. So this must be some really old base for them to still be using like the older version of the AT-ATs, because we see it in the future, 25 years in the future, that Kylo Ren in the First Order is using the ATM-6s, which are like the guerrilla walkers. So I find that
I mean,
interesting.
my only speculation idea for that is like, all right, maybe you have, because like we said, set the baseline. Like Favreau does like to do some of these deep cuts, so of course we like to have like Favreau and even Dave with like Rebels. You have Ralph McQuarrie things like the Walkers. Zeb's the Chewbacca, etc. So like maybe we get the whole thing with the Walkers. Maybe it's like you said, it's like a really old base, or maybe it's a situation where like I don't know, like Zeb is like, hey, I know of this like base, holdout empire Imperials or whatever or something. I don't know. Like maybe it's like a an Imperial remnant situation where they're like kind of in hiding or something along those lines. Because presumably, if you think about it, like by the end of Mando season 3, when Carson Teva is talking to Din, he's wanting to employ him to help out, kind of like
Yeah.
hunt down the remaining Imperials. So like maybe part of Din's thing is hunting down, these holdout Imperials from 25 years ago or something.
Yeah, could very much be the case. So that's all the big shots that I found in the trailer. We also got this poster here. So I think the poster's kind of cool. I mean, it definitely is giving us a much different vibe. This is not your Drew Struzan epic, like many characters on the poster kind of feel. This is a very, very small amount of characters on here, right? We have X-wings, we have the Razor Crest, we have the character played by Sigourney Weaver, we have an ATRT being ridden by Din Djarin. We have the twins. So that's what I was making allusion to before about, okay, whose palace is this? The twins from the Book of Boba Fett are coming back. We always thought that like, this is where are those guys? Where have they been? Are they going to play a bigger factor in the Star Wars canon? And it's been odd that we haven't seen them, but it's good to see that we're getting more Underworld connections. So, what was your take on this poster?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good poster for like the Mandoverse stuff. I thought it was just a good solid poster. Like, I don't know, for me, I guess like when it comes to a lot of this stuff with Star Wars, like I genuinely there aren't really any posters I don't like per se, I would say, because I think they're all pretty good for the most part. And this one, it does its job. It shows us it shows us the characters we care about. It also shows some of the new characters. It shows some ships. So yeah, I think it looks appropriate, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it gives me definitely the vibes of the 30s, that action
Yep.
serial adventure. I'm thinking specifically of Indiana Jones. The poster,
Yep.
the font looks like an Indiana Jones kind of font. I like how they have like the quote, like "This is the way." Then it says, Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin. Like we've never gotten Star Wars posters like this ever for like a
Yep.
theater movie. Like just
That is a good comparison, kind of an indie comparison. I like that.
like if this movie evokes the spirit of Indiana Jones at all, I'll probably freaking love it because I love Indiana Jones and I love that action adventure feel. So at the very least, if it can capture that, I'll be satisfied. If not, overwhelmed if that's the case. So, but yeah, I mean that's what we have to break down for the Mandalorian and Grogu. So much we got into tonight. Great conversation about just the idea of this movie, how it's impacting people, how it's impacting us specifically, what the ramifications of this movie could be. There's so much that we maybe touched the tip of the iceberg for on this discussion tonight. But yeah, it's good to see finally. I mean, whether or not I'm being, a little bit down on it, it's still a fact that we have a Star Wars movie coming out in less than a year, 8 months time, less than 8 months at this point. So that's to be excited about. If this movie is not what I like, then I just wait another year and I get Starfighter, and maybe that movie is something I enjoy more. So that's the main thing, is we have movies in the pipeline. There's a movie that's in post-production. There's a movie that's in production. We have a series being made. We have an animated
Or you wait a
series
month
being
or
made.
two for Ahsoka.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
so I really can't complain. I could try to complain. I could try to be cynical. This is probably the most cynical I've been on this show maybe ever. But that's just kind of how I felt. I wanted that Last Jedi feel from watching the trailer, and I got kind of a dud on my hands. But there's going to be more trailers, and hopefully now that we got this casual trailer, I'll just call it like the casual audience, rope them in. Let's dive into the story next time. Let's give us a little bit more dialogue. Let's see characters in action more. And yeah, I'm still intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, I think I I can see where you're coming from on a lot of that. I think for me, the trailer, was a good. It was a good. I always try to like kind of balance some of my, some of these things that are like in the public like this, with how like the general audience will look at it. Just because it's like, man, I think this was a really targeted at the general audience just to get it on their radar that even a Star Wars movie is in production. Because also, let's throw this out there as well, Chris. Like, I mean, probably a lot of people didn't even know a Star Wars movie was being made, or like they probably didn't know the Mando movie was being made, didn't know the Sean Levy movie was being made, didn't know the Dave movie, none of this stuff. They probably had no clue that this movie was even in, or any of these were in the works. So I think for them just kind of like getting it back onto people's radars, like, hey, a Star Wars movie's coming out next year. I think that's kind of like the way to like just put a little spark, and then it's like maybe in a few months we get like another thing attached to Avatar, just another little spark, because then because the world's going to be going to watch Avatar when that comes out, and then probably the Super Bowl, a bigger thing, a bigger jump, because that's even bigger, and then we'll kick off into the spring with whatever marketing campaign they do with Pedro and the gang. So I think it's smart how they did this. And for me, I thought the trailer was just a fine, solid little intro trailer. Nothing spectacular, nothing terrible. I just thought it was fine, good trailer.
Yeah.
For what it was, and yeah, and like I said, it's hard. It's hard not comparing this trailer to the other trailer though, just because technically I should not have seen the other trailer. So it's like I have
Yeah.
I have to like act like that one doesn't exist
Mhm.
and watch this for what it is, and like for what this is. Like if I was watching this as a first time, I mean even as a like hardcore fan, whatever, like we are, I would still be giving a pretty similar reaction of like, hey, it's a good fine trailer, nothing amazing, nothing terrible, whatever, fine. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at with this, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where they go with it. And then, like we said, we have another trailer that dropped this week as well. And it's just going to be interesting, because who knows, for all we know at this rate, we could turn off the camera and then tomorrow they drop an Ahsoka trailer or something. Like,
Yeah.
you just never know with this company. So yeah, I don't know what to expect, but those are kind of my thoughts on the whole Mando situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said off the top, we have another trailer breakdown coming to you guys next week. I mean, this was almost an hour and a half discussion on its own. We would have been here for 3 hours, which, we try to keep the show a little bit briefer these days. But it just gives us more reason to have another good show next week. So next week, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Visions Volume 3. And plus, they also dropped like all the episode titles, studios, description, synopsis. So we'll have a lot to dig into next week. Plus, I'll talk about what we can expect from Star Wars at New York Comic Con, which is the following weekend, which I'll be at and covering there. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. Things aren't slow, that's for sure. But Ben, where can people find you in an interim?
Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, people can find me talking about all of this Star Wars news and rumors and fun stuff, as well as just sports going on right now with the NFL at Real Ben Maynard on X and Instagram. And if you want to find Milton talking about pretty similar stuff, his Twitter or his X is Milton Weber 7, but he's super active on his Instagram. He's always posting fitness things or funny things on there. So if you want to check him out on there, you can find him at Milton 7 Weber.
And there you go. You can find me here on YouTube, youtube.com/Starrapter. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified when we go live in the future. Plus, we're available to listen to on all audio podcast apps such as Spotify, Apple Music, and more. Just search Outer Rim Transmission, and wherever you listen to us and watch us, please give us some positive feedback. We'd love to get your 5 out of 5 scores or whatever the metric is on whatever thing you're using. And please leave feedback. So for Milton, for Ben, for Chris, aka Starrapter, that's going to do it for episode 209 of Outer Rim Transmission. Thanks everybody for watching. May the Force be with you always, and transmission.